I lived someone else's life for 24 years. A convenient wife, an unnoticeable employee, a shadow on autopilot. I didn't even realize how it all fell apart. The first sign was my mother's teacup breaking neatly in half. A fortune teller friend saw it as a sign, but I dismissed it. And in vain. Soon my husband pronounced his verdict. I'm tired of you. I don't love you anymore. He left. At 47, I was left alone in the ruins, betrayed even by my own daughter. But what if this wasn't the end, but an opportunity? I took a chance. And when I finally found myself, a new passion, and a new love, he appeared on the doorstep. The one who destroyed me suddenly decided he had the right to take everything back. Hello, dear listeners. I'm glad to welcome you. I present to you a new interesting story. Enjoy listening. The cup clanged loudly on the tiled floor and broke into two neat halves, except for the handle, which rolled somewhere under the refrigerator. What a bastard! Oksana exclaimed angrily. Why am I so clumsy? This is all I have left, in memory of my mother. Well, at least she managed to finish her coffee. And yet, it's interesting. It broke exactly in half. If Lilia were here, she would definitely have told me what it was. I'll give her a call by the way. Oksana carefully picked up the halves of the porcelain cup from the floor, covered with elegant antique ornaments that were now completely useless. She still hadn't managed to get through to her friend Lilia. She managed to do so later, during lunch break, when Oksana finally realized that the day had gone wrong. Not only was her favorite cup broken, but she was late for work and bumped into her most annoying boss, who loudly scolded her in front of everyone for being late. She managed to lose a report, which magically vanished from her desk, and then the printer broke just as she was printing a copy of the previous one. But the icing on the cake was the disappearance of the lunch container Oksana brought with her every day from the refrigerator. Realizing she couldn't spend another minute in the office without getting into more trouble, Oksana decided to go to the nearest diner to have at least some tea and a croissant. She didn't have much of an appetite. Having placed her order, the woman dialed her friend's number. Hello, came a drawn-out, melodic voice. Oksana, is that you? What news? Did you have an earthquake or something? You're calling me at lunchtime? Hi, Lilka, Oksana blushed guiltily. I've got some kind of mess going on today. And my lunch was stolen from the fridge. Can you imagine? They all seem such decent people, I can't. But on the sly, they're ready to gobble up other people's food without even choking. So I hear it. This isn't the only unpleasant event today. Her friend's voice suddenly became somehow mysterious. Go ahead and tell me. I'm on a break right now anyway. Lilka, to be honest, I called you this morning, but your phone was turned off, Oksana sighed. What kind of news is this morning? Did something happen? Yes. I broke Mom's cup, remember? The one with the gazelle. Now all that's left is the saucer, and it's all cracked. You broke the cup and then called? It just broke right in half. I thought that was unusual. It was like a tile, after all. It fell. And I thought you were into all sorts of, well, unconventional things. Yes, unconventional. Oksana was embarrassed. I understand that this is a bit of a pretext, but no, everything is correct. Lilia interrupted and suddenly became extremely serious. Where did you put the cup? I already threw it out. I haven't taken it out to the trash at home yet. Let me come over to your place this evening, we'll see together. You say that some unpleasant things happened all day afterwards? Yes, that could be related. Lilia, don't scare me. Yes, for now this is just an assumption. Just don't worry about it. You. How many hours are you working today? Well, the usual, until 5. Okay, then expect me at 6 o'clock. And what time will Igor be back? I don't really want to run into him, Lilia snorted. Igor is coming home late. Don't worry, Oksana smiled, knowing about the mutual dislike between her husband and her friend. Okay, that's it, we have a deal. At exactly 6 o'clock, the doorbell rang in Oksana's apartment. She immediately opened the door and saw Lilia's satisfied face. Wow, I've lost so much weight, the guest immediately exclaimed. How long has it been since we last saw each other? About 3 months. Yes, just since Igor's birthday. Oksana hugged her friend tightly. Yes, my appetite has been bad lately. Everything is very tense at work, and at home too. Has your love boat really cracked? Lilia raised one eyebrow. And when did it ever sail normally? Oksana chuckled, sitting her friend down at the table. Igor is getting colder and colder. Now he's consistently taking on extra hours. We hardly see each other. And on weekends he pursues his hobby. What kind of hobby? He locks himself in his father's apartment and there he's carving wood. He doesn't let me near, and I don't bother him. The main thing is that we don't argue at home. Okay, I get it, Aliska. What about Liza? Oksana thought, imagining her daughter's face. She rarely calls. You know that. She didn't even come to her father's anniversary. She's studying. Igor and I did our job, we raised her. Now she's freelancing, she doesn't even ask for money. She seems to be living with a guy, but she doesn't introduce us. I've already imagined all sorts of things, to be honest. If he doesn't introduce us, it means he understands that this is all not serious. Today's children are different. They live by the laws. Don't pay attention. You'll see how she gives birth to her own children and immediately remembers her mother and father. Yeah, she'll give birth. Oksana even laughed, pouring tea into cups. God forbid she even hinted at it. She immediately bristles. She doesn't even consider the option of becoming a mother. Her studies and career are all she has in mind. And she's even chosen a very specific specialty. Microbiologist. I know those types. They sit in labs until old age, they don't even have time to start a family. Oh, Oksana, don't be dramatic, she's a pretty girl, not stupid. She's only 20. Of course, she's not thinking about children. We were idealists, we had children, and everything will work out somehow. They don't. She'll start working, meet a good man, save up for an apartment, and then the kids will come. The main thing is, don't worry. When did you have her? At 26. Well, yes. Oksana hesitated. So why are you rushing the girl then? She's so eager to change her grandson's diapers and drag him around with the stroller. She would have had another one herself. Now she could easily do that. Age is no obstacle at all. If only there was desire and money. Somehow I doubt Igor would agree to another to become a father once. And what did you ask him? You know, Dimka hints every now and then that it would be nice to have a third. Yeah. It's easy for him to talk about me from the sidelines. I've only just managed to recover from diapers and parent-teacher meetings and finally take care of myself. No, 2 is enough. But you can think about it. Especially since your Igor earns a decent income. Your apartment is absolutely gorgeous. You don't spend money on the eldest. And your job, forgive me, of course, but it's definitely not something you'd hold on to with all your might. What do you think? Oksana looked at the butterfly that had crept into the kitchen lampshade. To be honest, sometimes I feel like I'm living someone else's life. I don't know how to explain it. Everything is on autopilot. It seems like our family is strong and we're well off. No one is sick or in need, but it's all just not right. I feel like a stranger at home. It became especially noticeable after Liska left. You're right about work. There's nothing to hold on to there. Yes, they pay well, but by God, you work like a robot. There's no motivation or genuine human interest. Just numbers and graphs. You should study to be a beauty professional, like I, Lilia chuckled. There's no end to the clients. I'm already earning more than Dimka without really straining myself. And I don't depend on any men or women. That's wonderful. Tell me, how can I fit into your industry? You know I'm not good at making friends. You're the one who's an extrovert. You can talk anyone into it and win them over. And me. And where am I supposed to look for clients? It's not my thing, Lilia. Sorry. Don't make me laugh, Lilia shook her head. How can you know if it's your thing or not without trying? There are plenty of clients. As far as I remember, you've always drawn well. And a lifelong perfectionist is a good quality for a nail artist. It's not a problem to get popular these days thanks to social media, and the idea that you need to talk to them is a myth. Think about it. Sometimes people bury such talents within themselves, and so they live lives that aren't their own. What can I think of? Igor would never allow me to do such things. He doesn't think I got a higher education to file and paint other people's nails. What does Igor have to do with this? Are you his property or something? Believe me, as soon as you start earning more than him, it will change your mind. And anyway, I'm not saying that you should definitely do your nails or eyelashes or eyebrows. There are plenty of options. You could, for example, paint walls. Mosaics used to be a serious hobby of yours. I remember how I'd come to visit you and Tamara Grigoryevna and my head would spin. Nothing but stained glass and mosaics. And who did it? That's right, Oksanaka is a real talent for needlework. So why did you give it up? I don't even know. Somehow work got in the way. Then family. So quit your job. Half the family is already disconnected. It's time to pull myself together before it's too late. By the way, about the halves, Oksana remembered. I almost forgot, you know. Here, Lilia, look. Oksana stood up, took the shards of a cup out of the cabinet and placed them on the table in front of her friend. Lilia picked up the porcelain halves and thoughtfully twirled them in front of her nose, examining them from each side. Porcelain breaks, she finally said. And the handle broke off so neatly. And what do you think? Obviously, this is a sign for you. Lilia's face darkened. You, after all, you know, my grandmother was known as a witch. And there was a similar incident once. A woman came to her, trying to steal a man from his family, and a cup just shattered in her hands. And what happened next? Nothing, Lilia chuckled. Her grandmother simply sent her away. She said it was a hopeless case and there was no point in trying to ruin someone else's family. But I don't want to steal anyone, Oksana protested. In over 20 years of marriage, I've never even thought about cheating. And everything's fine with Igor. And I'm not even talking that you're even thinking about something like that. I just remembered I've seen something like that before. Especially since that woman's cup broke right in her hands, while yours fell on the floor. A dubious analogy. Let me tell you what. Porcelain doesn't break anyway. Under normal circumstances, we'd have thousands of shards lying in front of us right now, not this. But do you have any ideas? Or do you think it just broke by accident and should be forgotten? Let me read your coffee grounds. I'm just going to tell you some baseless lies right now, assumptions, and in the end I'll be wrong. You always have to check everything. Come on. Everyone knows that no one can read coffee grounds better than you. I don't know how you see everything there, but so far everything you said has come true. Oksana put the Turk on the stove and made coffee. After it was drunk, Lilia began the ritual. She turned the cup with the grounds upside down on the saucer, and when she removed it, she peered for a long time at the patterns remaining on the walls. Yeah, she said gloomily. What's there? Oksana asked fearfully. Yeah, nothing good. I'll say one thing, it was definitely not an accident that your cup broke in half. What do you mean, Lilia? No need for riddles. Tell it like it is. You and Igoreka will break up, her friend snorted. And whatever you say now won't help matters. You can believe it or not, it's your business. But it will happen very soon. What do you mean, break up? Oksana's eyes widened. We've been together for 24 years. Does he have a mistress? I don't think so, Lilia shook her head. I don't see any other woman here. He has problems with his head. There's no arguing with that. Lily, you're saying that because you can't stand him. Admit it, you're joking. I won't be offended now. Oksy, my girl. Her friend looked at her seriously, which even made Oksana feel uneasy. Jokes are inappropriate in such matters. But why? Oksana looked somehow haggard. He fell out of love with you, that's why. Well, it happens. Lily patted her hand. Alas, nothing can be done about it. It's too late to fix anything. You'll only waste time and nerves. I see that clearly. But there are good news. What could be good about that? Oksana chuckled. But look, there's sediment on the plate. This is your future, and in it you clearly see a man who will truly love you, just as you love him. That's it, enough chatter. Lilia, I get it. You're trying to provoke me into shaking up my usual way of life. What other man did you see there? All I see are some potato-shaped streaks and blots, and an ordinary person isn't given the chance to see them. I'm telling you, Oksik, it's your business. You asked me yourself, I didn't. I was pushing myself. Oh well, let's forget it, Oksana pouted. Well, let's forget it. Okay, I'm going home. Lilia started getting ready. We've been sitting around so long, I didn't even notice how quickly time flew by. Thank you for inviting me. No hard feelings? What hard feelings? Oksana smiled. I just feel sorry for the cup. A cup is just a thing. Never regret things. And the fact that this is a memory of your mother, well, she lives in your heart even without any dishes. Oksana sat on the sofa, her face buried in a blanket, and watched the next episode of her favorite TV series, when the front door slammed. Why are you so gloomy? She asked her husband when he appeared in the room. Dinner is on the stove, should I heat it up for you? You're probably hungry. No, I'm not hungry, Oksana. Igor plopped heavily down on the sofa next to her. We need to have a serious talk. About what? The woman asked warily. Don't scare me, Igor. I've had a damn hard day today. I don't want you to finish me off in the end. Oksana, I'm divorcing you. What are you? What are you doing? The woman frowned. You're joking now, aren't you? Yes, everyone's making jokes so badly today, but I don't understand where to laugh. I'm not joking, Oksana, Igor said, looking away. I've already made up my mind. This isn't a momentary desire or anything like that. I'm tired. We've been together for too long. Yes, I know there are couples who have been together for half a century or even longer. But you and I are not that case. Forgive me, but I don't want to be with you anymore. Igor, what are you saying? The woman extricated herself from the blanket and approached her husband, but he pulled away. What does this mean? Do you have another woman? I don't have anyone, Igor flared up. Why did you think of that right away? Well, how could it be otherwise? I think that's mostly why divorces happen. It's not about some other woman, but about you. I'm tired of you, Oksana. I'm just tired. I'm tired of seeing your eternally sour face when I come home from work. I even try to show up at home less often because I feel uncomfortable in your company. You never even ask how I'm doing, not you talk about what's going on with you, you only complain, you ask for something. It's stressful. Do you even understand this? I can't even look at you anymore. When was the last time you even put on lipstick? Do you walk around in a suit that's always stretched out? Do you tie your hair in that lousy ponytail? Or did you think that because we're married, I'll accept all this calmly? Yes, I value you as a person, but that's not enough. Not enough, you understand? No, I don't understand. Oksana whispered with dry lips. Why are you only telling me about this now? I had always seemed perfectly normal for spouses to discuss personal desires and the like, but no, you were just mulling it over in your head, pondering it, and now you've just decided. And didn't you want to know my opinion? We have a daughter, Igor. A daughter? Come on, wake up. Liza's grown up and that's it. She lives on her own now. She's unlikely to come back here. It's just you and me left. You're asking why I didn't tell you anything before. You seem to have lost your memory. I've repeatedly started a dialogue, hinting to you that you should at least take care of yourself. I should pay closer attention. But you're like a blank wall, I don't see or notice anything. Admit it, Oksana, you were just comfortable. That's why you relaxed. You thought that since your husband was silent, everything was fine with him. We don't even sleep anymore. What kind of family harmony are you even talking about? We're not some old men. Where are your eyes? Do you really think I'll believe that you didn't feel or notice anything? You just let everything slide. Well, get the result. Igor, I understand all this, but what kind of but could there be? I don't love you more. Do you understand that? And if that's the case, then I see no point in trying to revive something that's long since died. And there's no need to shed tears, persuade, or beg now. I've made my decision and that's it. There's no turning back. I've given you many chances, but you ignored them all. So I'll just pack my things and leave now. I'll submit the documents tomorrow. I advise you not to delay and sign everything too. The sooner we put an end to all this, the better it will be for both of us. For now, live in this apartment. I won't lay claim to it. Although half legally it's mine, but I want Lisa to have it someday. After all, we've invested a lot in this place. And where will you go? Oksana felt tears welling up in her eyes, but she tried to hold them back. It doesn't matter, Igor smiled weakly. Now I'm on my own, you're on my own. Don't try to contact me. Don't call or look for me. I'll contact Lisa myself and explain everything to her. Oksana, I want each of us to be happy. If it didn't work out between us, then we should give it another chance. Right? Probably, the woman nodded distantly. Her husband's words reached her as if through thick water. She didn't really listen, just nodded weakly, knowing she couldn't do anything. Immediately, Lilia's face, the broken cup, the coffee stains on the white porcelain walls came to mind. Oksana was overwhelmed by hopelessness. She didn't even hear Igor packing his things, putting on his shoes, and closing the door behind him. For about 6 months, Oksana lived as if in a delirium. A terrible apathy consumed her. The woman even attended several sessions with a psychotherapist and took the prescribed medications, but they were of no use. Her sleep improved, though. Oksana could no longer sleep without sedatives. She was constantly tormented by thoughts of her now ex-husband, of wonderful memories from the past, of little Lisa. Her daughter didn't even come to the trial. However, calling the event Oksana went through that would have been too grandiose. The couple had no property claims. Igor promised to give her his half of the apartment in the future. He left it to his daughter. He wasn't in any hurry to kick his wife out or rush the sale. According to mutual acquaintances, Igor had moved into a bachelor apartment complex. At first, Oksana, contrary to her promise, tried to track her husband down. She called and texted him frequently, but all she got was for Igor to change his number, transfer to a more remote branch, sacrificing part of his salary, and even managed to trade one rental apartment, which his ex-wife knew about, for another. A couple of months before the divorce, Oksana still believed that Igor will come to his senses. He's just going through a midlife crisis. Yes, he's tired, she thought. And who isn't tired these days? It's very hard to live with someone for almost a quarter of a century and not reproach them for anything. And I, too, sometimes feel that the feelings are far from the same as at the dawn of our acquaintance. But still, I don't believe that you can just up and stop loving someone who shared all your troubles and happy moments with you, raised your daughter. Especially now that I know for sure that he doesn't have a mistress, which means that grief just needs time. I'm more than sure that for a couple of days before the trial, he'll withdraw the documents, and we'll laugh together that the joke has dragged on. And then, each of us will learn from our mistakes and try to build a family again. Maybe I'll even take Lily's advice and suggest Igor have another child. But the more time passed since Igor's departure, the less Oksana believed her own words. The worst part was that Liza sided with her father. She even managed to quarrel with her mother, accusing her of destroying the family with her indifference and disinterest. Oksana didn't argue. Deep down, she knew perfectly well that her daughter was right, although her entire being desperately resisted this assertion. Liza stopped calling completely. She didn't answer her mother's calls. More often, Oksana had to settle for unanswered messages or a tirade along the lines of "Dad's worse now." Oksana didn't understand what was happening, but she didn't have the strength to try to reason with her daughter. She didn't even have the strength for herself. Work became even more burdensome. Oksana almost completely cut off contact. Co-workers, preferring the faceless world of numbers and graphs. After work, she returned home immediately, without stopping anywhere along the way. Even Lilia couldn't penetrate the thick armor her friend had built for herself. One evening, Lilia finally managed to intercept Oksana on her way home from work. She looked ill. In addition to her general depression, she had a pale complexion, sunken cheeks, bags under her eyes, gray hair, and equally gray skin. Even Oksana's clothes seemed shapeless and colorless. "So what do you mean?" Lilia was immediately indignant, grabbing her friend's hand. "Oh, Lilia, is that you?" Oksana answered absent-mindedly, looking somewhere past her interlocutor. "What fates?" "Your fates," Lilia mimicked her. "Have you seen yourself in the mirror? What the hell is this?" "Oksana, you don't look good." "Everything's fine with me," Oksana snapped. "Yeah, I see. Okay, I understand everything, but why are you avoiding me? Do I wish you ill?" "You knew," Oksana suddenly burst into tears. "You knew everything and spoke so calmly." "So, how should I have spoken?" Lilia glanced around, trying to scare off the onlookers attracted by her hysteria. "I told you right away what would happen, but you chose to lock yourself in your idyllic little world and believe in a fairy tale, not reality. Oksana, wake up. Igor left. It's his choice. He's a grown man, it happens. But he doesn't want to talk to you yet. His business will change his mind anyway. I guarantee you that. But right now, is there any point in turning yourself into this gray and hopeless thing? Oksana, you've added several years to your age in the last few months. Now pull yourself together and it's time. I have to start all over again." "From scratch," Oksana laughed. "From scratch, you say? And how do you think that's possible? I'm 47. It's not even 30. I don't see any point in life at all. My husband left me, even my daughter turned her back on me. And it's all my fault. It's obvious that if I couldn't build a happy life before, it's stupid to even think about it now. Who needs me? You need yourself," Lilia snapped. "You're the most precious thing you have. You couldn't care less about Igor or your daughter. They're their own people. Let them live how, where, and with whom they want to. But if you continue like this, you'll simply disappear as a person. And that, Oksanushka, can't be allowed. I've known you for many years. You're a rare person, talented, and with a kind soul. You can't find someone like that these days even with fire. But whose fault is it that your family doesn't really appreciate you? And you're certainly to blame for that, too. That's how it is, a double-edged sword. But you did everything simply out of stupidity, out of naivety. But I don't blame Igor Slizkoy. I just don't understand them. That's how it was. Yes, it wasn't good, but it was bearable, like everyone else. It's not like everyone else. Remember how Tolstoy wrote, all happy families are happy alike, but every unhappy family is unhappy in its own way. So if it turned out that all the harmony and idyll crumbled to dust in your case, it means that something was already spoiled from the very beginning. In strong marriages, this only happens for force majeure reasons. What kind of reasons are they? Oksana asked with interest. Well, Lilia thought. For example, if a scheming woman has her eye on your man, manipulates him, or something it's worse, she's pregnant or resorts to love spells. In such cases, they say, the devil made me do it. Even the man himself can't explain this act logically. Something is cracking in his usual world, and he gets scared and prefers to do stupid things rather than look for a way out with his wife. But this is definitely not Igor's case. He doesn't have anyone. I've already done this and learned from him. Or he's very good at hiding it, although why bother when the divorce is already over or something else? It also happens that a person loses his usual way of life, goes bankrupt, becomes disabled, experiences betrayal, all sorts of things. But this again has nothing to do with Igor. Oksana was indignant. Yes, my personal opinion, you know what it is? I have no idea. You said he's not right in the head. He's living on fat, Lilia laughed. Give him love. And he knows what it is. The man has had it all. He's tired, you see, how tender. So, my girl, stop marinating in this misery. Get to work. By the way, I have a 2-hour window tomorrow. I'll be waiting for you at my salon at the same time. At least your appearance will be in order, we'll bring it. And no excuses. This is my gift to you. It will be for a new life. A new life? Oksana found the strength to laugh. It sounds a bit pompous. Okay, Lilia, you're right. I completely lost the thread of reality, and before the divorce I felt like I was out of my element. I told you, but now I feel like I was thrown out of a restaurant and doused with slop, even though I paid the bill and I liked everything. I'll come. That's good. Lilia hugged her friend. The next day, Lilia worked hard. She not only gave Oksana a beautiful, elegant manicure, but also freshened up her eyebrows and eyelashes, and even called her friend Alina, who took care of the patient's skin and hair. It took the specialists just 4 hours to get Oksana looking her best. Wow, Alina admired. All we need is a fancy dress. And even though she was about to attend a social event, Oksana examined herself in the mirror. Thick, wavy blonde locks flowing over her shoulders, neatly, even predatorily, lined eyes, and boyish eyebrows, floating somewhere high, a fresh blush and luscious lips. Yes, it was just a successful makeup, but Oksana had already forgotten that she could look so attractive. Naturally, she regularly went to the hairdresser and wore light makeup to work. But all this looked too simple and was unable to highlight all the natural beauty of a woman. And traces of fatigue are not so easily erased. This requires professionalism. It is in the hands of professionals like Sana and Papala, now glowing in front of the mirror, with happiness mixed with a sudden shame for her own brilliance. You know, Lilia suddenly suggested, it's kind of a shame to let such beauty go to waste. Tomorrow it will all be washed off your face. You were just about to go home anyway. Well, yes, Oksana glanced cautiously at her friend. So, your plans include a TV series and pizza, roughly speaking. That's great. Then you definitely won't refuse. We're already done for today, so I invite you to celebrate your new look at a wonderful place. I don't even know. Oksana sheepishly looked down at her modest trousers and a plain sweater. A bit too formal. Oh, we'll fix that now. Ilya. The women, with the speed of the wind, pulled out a pair of large earrings. A patent leather belt with an elegant buckle. A string of some ornate buzzes. Even faster, they tried it all on Oksana, keeping only what looked truly stunning. In just a couple of minutes, the inconsolable ex-wife transformed into a bold and confident socialite, confident in herself and her style. Not a trace remained of her old office image. No wonder I took stylist courses. She finished. Pleased with the result, Alina shook her head. I was shocked, Oksana staring at her reflection. Lily, on the other hand, preferred to stand silently and smile mysteriously. After closing the office, the women piled into a small compact car and drove off somewhere toward Central Avenue. It was already past 9 p.m. The soft streetlights gently illuminated the asphalt, glistening from the recent rain. The numerous shops had already closed, but the bars and cafes sparkled invitingly with their signs, inviting you to immerse yourself in the cozy atmosphere. Lilia stopped near one of them. Okay, girls, she addressed her companions, touching up her lips. I'll warn you right away, there are no random people here. Just someone from the street won't even walk through the door. And what about us? Oksana squeaked. Her friend winked at her. We're special guests. The owner and I have been inseparable since kindergarten. At one time, he even kept courting me, but somehow it didn't go beyond friendship. Now, Dimka and I have found common ground, so we're not afraid. We've got a table for 3 reserved. Or rather, not even a table, but the prime spot at the bar. We'll be right in the thick of things. The women walked into the bar, passing a man who looked like a pit bull. At face control, Lilia beamed, making the pit bull look more like a happy and contented Labrador. Do you come here often? Alina asked, glancing discreetly at the security guard. Yeah, not really, but I know Sasha well. Lilia nodded at the big guy. He's kind, that's just how he looks. A person just needs a smile and there aren't enough sincere words. The bar was tiny, immersed in pleasant music with female vocals, the soft light of Edison lamps, and the aroma of old wood, imbued with something so familiar yet elusive. Small groups of men sat at tables here and there. Oksana, the woman, counted only 2 other men. Both looked extremely respectable and didn't resemble the typical patrons of such places. A tall, blonde woman of Nordic appearance, dressed in black trousers, a snow-white shirt, and some kind of strange vest. It all looked very stylish. Good evening, ladies, the Valkyrie greeted. I, Olga, will be working with you today. Allow me to offer you drinks of my choice. Oh, that's interesting, the guests responded in chorus. A few minutes later, a beautifully decorated glass stood in front of each of them. All 3 clinked glasses and took a sip, after which approving comments poured in for the bartender, Olga. And what, are they just drinking here? Oksana Iskosa looked askance at the crowd. At that moment, the stage lights turned brighter. The piano started playing, and a wonderful female voice began to flow. On the podium, in the spotlights, stood a real beauty, like from old Hollywood films. She sang something in Italian. All the men's eyes were turned to her, and Oksana herself was literally enchanted by the singing. The former wife of the boss, Lilia, pointed towards the singer. Beautiful and has a divine voice, Alina nodded. But she's still a fool. Her head is truly empty. But God didn't deprive her of talent. Mishka, out of the kindness of his heart, he left her here after the divorce. And they broke up because she thought about nothing but singing. And here they pay her very good tips. All these gentlemen. And no, Oksana, Lilia smiled. Many people don't come here to drink, but specifically to listen to this Janna. She gives Mishka a commission, rents him a loft on the top floor in this same building, and he steadily acquires new clients. Her voice is golden in every sense. And why doesn't she go on the big stage? Oksana asked in surprise, admiring her plasticity. Janna. Her looks. You'll be blown away. Her voice is simply out of this world, and she's artistic too. And the fact that she's a fool is just a plus. Don't make me laugh, Lilia burst out laughing, clapping Alina on the shoulder. No, you hear what she's saying about show business. Oksana has a completely different set of rules there. Here, the girl simply sings for fun. She has a pretty good income, she's made useful connections, and she doesn't share it with greedy producers who would dictate their rules to her. She simply lives for her own pleasure. Remember, we talked about finding something to do that will fill your life with true meaning. Oksana nodded, taking another sip of her amber cocktail. Janna found it and she's happy. So I'll start my barrel organ again. Oksana, Lilia's face turned serious. Do you want to start a new life? Get rid of old habits, things, and work. Just don't you dare get rid of old friends. An old friend is better than two new ones. To this, they propose a toast. After drinking, Lilia asked Olga to repeat, and she herself headed to the ladies' room. Alina left with her, leaving Oksana in splendid isolation. Excuse me, the barmaid quietly addressed her. I'd like to say goodbye. My shift is over for today. It was nice to meet you, Oksana nodded. Divine drinks, excellent taste, both theirs and yours. As a parting gift, I'd like to offer you this cocktail, Olga winked. I overheard the conversation. It seems to me that this is truly your drink. It's called Mosaic. I just created it while looking at you. Well, very Oksana was surprised, accepting the glass with the strange contents. Ice, pieces of fruit, and the drink itself were intricately combined into a veritable mosaic panel, exactly like the ones Oksana herself had once made. She wanted to thank the barmaid, but when she looked up, she discovered that she was no longer there. In her place, a man about Oksana's age was smiling affably behind the counter. His posture was so perfect that the woman couldn't help but admire him. Don't ask me if I did ballet, the new barman smiled. No, you. Sorry, Oksana said, embarrassed. Yes, I'm joking. And where are your companions? I see a few glasses. They haven't even finished them. And they'll be back soon, Oksana relaxed. It was me and Olga who started talking. She presented me with a signature cocktail especially for me. It's even strange. And why is it strange? The bartender was amazed. You just radiate a special kind of energy. And Alia, what is it called? Like a medium, a synesthete, or something like that. I don't go into it. That is, she sees sounds as colors, she can correlating a person's personality with material forms. So this cocktail is a reflection of your soul. But how could she see that? Intuition alone isn't enough, you see? I used to be seriously into artistic mosaics. And this drink, it even looks like one of my works. But my friends and I definitely didn't talk about it, or rather, without specifics. Olga couldn't guess. Yes, she didn't guess, she just saw it. Don't get into it, it's all complicated. Just don't tell my friend about your colleague's abilities, Oksana laughed. I'm a little off myself. By the way, I didn't introduce myself, the man smiled. My name is Mikhail. Oksana, she smiled back. Stranger. So, what does that translate from Byzantine? Wanderer, foreigner, guest. I'm glad to see such a charming guest in my bar. Oh, so you're the owner. And you've heard about it already, then. I wonder from whom? From that fidgety Lily, perhaps? It all seems to fit. A mysterious friend who's into esotericism, who's already managed to gossip about me. Stranger. I doubt I'm wrong, Miss Hanya. At that very moment, Lilia's voice, thick as liqueur, rang out. And I think it's already approaching midnight, and Herman is still not here. I was right. Mikhail winked at Oksana. Excuse me, I'd like to ask another question before I forget. Oh, you're already having a great conversation here, Lilia interrupted, but Alina pulled her back. I have a professional question. Mikhail held his hands out in front of him in a conciliatory gesture. Even better. You've got your eye on Oksanka. I know you inside out. By the way, she's a decent woman, and she's not a sugar baby like Zhanka. She might not be able to sing, but she's a very good artist. That's exactly what I wanted to talk about. The man shook his finger at Lily. Oksana, you just mentioned in passing that you were involved in artistic mosaics, but I desperately need a high-class master. I don't want to hire guests from neighboring republics. And we didn't see eye to eye with a couple of the designers. Oh, I haven't done this in a very long time, Oksana said sheepishly. Years. She's already 20. She's probably lost all her skills. Before she could do anything, Lilia poked her painfully in the side. What do you want, Mashenka? Oksy was just about to resume her work soon, so you have every chance of being her first client. And we're going to redo the stage here. Zhanna wants a niche with antique motifs in the background. There are sketches, but they could be tweaked a bit. And behind the counter here too, but this time it's a Scandinavian epic. It's because of Olga, Alina smiled. She looks a lot like a Valkyrie. Yes, I agree. Those who work in a particular area more often have the right to commission the interior to make it as comfortable as possible. Don't you need anything for yourself? Oksana smiled modestly. Yes, let's get started. If I like it, I'd order something for myself. But I'm afraid that a mosaic wouldn't fit into my modest apartment. It would look too luxurious. Although I really like mosaics in the style of old Soviet wall panels. And that style is very suitable for a loft. In any case, Oksana, I'm not paying. I'll offend you. I'm giving you complete carte blanche. Do whatever you want, within the technical specifications. Olga wouldn't offer her cocktail to anyone. What kind of cocktail? Lilia immediately perked up. It doesn't matter, Oksana smiled. The friends stayed at the bar until closing time. Mikhail turned out to be a wonderful conversationalist, easily engaging in conversation and cracking well-timed jokes. Oksana, enchanted by this man, even began to daydream a little. He reminded her of some long-forgotten school sweetheart, Koka, a high school student. But she was also modest, overly well-mannered. Oksana would never have dared approach him, preferring to sigh secretly behind the school steps. With Mikhail, however, it was a different story. Oksana herself was now a completely free woman and no longer as shy as she had been in 9th grade. Mikhail had also recently divorced, although neither of them were looking for a relationship. Oksana quite considered him as a lover. Moreover, she felt that the glances the bar owner cast her were dictated by anything but banal politeness. He didn't look at Lilka and Alina that way. Or rather, he looked, but not like that. Oksana hadn't had many men, but she was unerringly aware of such signs of attention. However, she wasn't about to rush things and brazenly hit on this smiling man, realizing that right now she was driven by the cocktails she'd drunk, loneliness, and the desire to continue the fun evening, not by common sense or sincere feelings. As if to spite her, Mikhail offered to take everyone home, since he was the only one sober, and his upbringing didn't allow him to leave the poor women to their own devices in such a state. And, as to her surprise, Oksana's house was the last one on the list. She was silent the whole way, and Mikhail drove silently too. Finally, they pulled up to the residential complex where the woman's apartment was located. What a coincidence, the man muttered. And what about it? Oksana woke up from her half-sleep. Yes, I live very close by, in the house far away, which is still faced with dark brick. I bought an apartment after the divorce. I left Janka's old loft, but I was looking for something similar. Maybe you want to come over? I'll also show you where I want to do a mosaic. The remnants of common sense told me Oksana told him she shouldn't agree to Misha's proposal. They both knew perfectly well how it would end. She wanted to continue the conversation and get to know this man better, but some inner force completely overwhelmed common sense and forced Oksana to nod. Early in the morning, Oksana opened her eyes and realized with horror that she was in the bed of a man she barely knew. Difficulty remembering how the previous evening had gone, she groped for her clothes on the chairs. The only thing missing was Alina's earrings. Oksana, she did everything as quietly as possible. Damn, she scolded herself. Who am I after this? I slept with the first guy I met, and now, like a criminal, I'm trying to hide because I'm embarrassed to look him in the eye. But why did I rush into it? We were already attracted to each other. And Misha made me a good offer, and now he'll think I'm easy and frivolous. Goodbye, order. Hello, old boring job. Where are you going so early? Suddenly a voice rang out behind her. As Oksana, I was already putting on the first shoe. Or have you forgotten that you promised to make me breakfast? You've advertised your toasts so much that I now doubt it's true. Otherwise, how can I explain the fact that you're running away? I'm not running away, Oksana mumbled. Just going to work. Yeah, don't make things up. Today is Saturday, and you said the day off would finally come. So confess. Don't be afraid, I won't scold you. At worst, I'll make some eggs and make some coffee. After all, a woman's inability to cook is no barrier. What makes you think I can't cook? Oksana asked angrily. Neither her ex-husband nor her daughter had ever complained. Come on, move away. Where's your refrigerator and stove? Then I suggest we cook together. Mikhail became inspired, seeing the energy with which his guests were working in the kitchen. Yes, please. Where were you rushing to? He suddenly asked. Me? Well, anyway, I felt ashamed, and I decided to leave quietly, so you wouldn't even remember me. Ah, Misha exclaimed. What's there to be ashamed of? People are usually proud of things like that. What a fool your husband is. How could he waste such a wonderful woman, and even turn his nose up at her? And if I had slept through your departure, I would have regretted it for the rest of my life. Oksana, we are adults, and even though you were a little drunk yesterday, I was fully aware of my actions. I liked you back at the bar. You noticed it yourself. And what happened between us is a great way to immediately understand how compatible we are. So away with shyness, doubts, and everything else you've come up with. I feel great with you. Even this, I like the funny way you hold that spatula. But, Misha, I don't want to rush things. Hurry? I'm not calling you podvenets. Let's just chat for now, visit each other, and then as fate will have it. Agreed. Agreed. Oksana smiled and lowered her gaze. Yes. Well, Lilia will be surprised, of course. By the way, not long ago she predicted the man of my dreams in my coffee grounds. Can you imagine? That's it. You know, Oksana, now I'm no longer sure that this is a coincidence. What are you talking about? It's unlikely, Lilia, she'll be surprised. She was the one who set us up. My divorce was still bothering her. She kept complaining about how such a good guy shouldn't be alone. And what about me? Alone and alone. And then she started telling me all about her friend, praising her. Anyway, we agreed that she would bring you to the bar, and we would casually meet. The only thing is, I hadn't seen your photo beforehand and wasn't sure when I met her at the bar. You know, I already realized then that even if you weren't the woman Lilka was trying to match me with, I don't need anyone else anymore, and my girlfriend can go to hell. But everything came together for the best. Are you happy? Oksana was putting breakfast on big plates. Happy isn't the word. I'm not happy, I'm happy. I don't know if you can talk about happiness so simply, but that's exactly what I feel. At least, that's what I think. I felt something like this only once before, when my father returned from the war. I was a second-year student then. I remember coming home, and there were my boots. Well, I understood everything. I looked into the room, and there was Mom and Dad, and he holds me in his arms. And suddenly my soul felt so light, so bright. And now, too, it's as if I've met someone I thought was gone forever. Oksana was in no hurry to move in with Mikhail, preferring to live in her own apartment for now. She converted one of the rooms, vacated by Igor's departure, into her studio. Oksana finally quit her old job and devoted herself entirely to the creative process. She purchased materials, shelving, tools, and began creating. The sketches Mikhail proposed were self-sufficient. Oksana made only minor adjustments. Over the years, she'd fallen out of the habit of working with ceramics, but soon her hands remembered. At first, the pieces were difficult to manipulate, but after just a couple of days, Oksana deftly manipulated them, flawlessly chipping off the necessary fragments and installing them in their proper places. The work progressed quickly. In her free time, Oksana met with Mikhail, but never showed him the intermediate stages. They had a great time, choosing something new every weekend, and she seemed to understand the joy that came with it. Mikhail spoke then. She herself was literally overwhelmed with some new feeling. No, it wasn't love, but happiness. Powerful, uncompromising, boundless. Oksana was literally floating. Even her appearance had changed dramatically. Lilia noted that her friend, who had cut her blonde hair short, began to look 15 years younger. Now she was not at all the exhausted gray mouse, but a truly happy woman who loved and was loved. Are you sure you don't want to take a break today? A caricature Misha was indignant when Oksana left his apartment. Misha, I'm not the kind of person who will drag things out forever. I have work left for exactly one evening. The ancient mosaic is completely finished, and the Scandinavian one needs just a little finishing. I promise, tomorrow I'll be at your complete disposal. So, think of how we'll celebrate the completion of the project in the meantime. Misha grinned and kissed his woman. Okay, go. I won't distract you with my emoticons and stickers today. Have a nice evening and night. Oksana got home in a few minutes. As she approached the entrance, the woman sensed something strange. She shivered, wrapping her scarf tighter around herself, and looked around. The courtyard was empty, save for a couple of dog walkers and a late-night granny. Oksana steeled herself for driving and took the elevator up to her apartment. But as soon as she entered the apartment, she realized something was wrong. Men's sneakers were standing in the hallway. The last time she saw similar ones was on her ex-husband. Igor, she called out loudly. Is that you? But an answer was no longer required. Oksana was on the shelf. She saw the ring of keys her husband used, which she had insisted he keep for himself just in case. Apparently, that was exactly the case. What are you doing here? Oksana shouted indignantly, entering the workshop, having guessed that Igor was there by the strip of light coming from under the door. Hello, dear, Igor smiled peacefully, carefully placing the mosaic piece he had been examining on the table. And I see you've decided to get back into creativity. This certainly doesn't suit you. It concerns, Oksana pouted. Why are you so aggressive? I came for old friendship, and you immediately attack. Yeah, that's not how it's done. Firstly, you scared me. Secondly, you're touching fragile items without asking. By the way, I get paid well for this, and I just don't have time to redo them. Where are you so late, by the way? I've been waiting for half a day, and you're still not here. Now that's definitely none of your business, Oksana frowned. Better tell me why you came. Just don't beat around the bush. I don't have time. I need to finish Mosaic today. So that's how it is. Igor looked around. And I came to apologize. Oksana, I was wrong. About what? She wrinkled her face. Well, you understand everything anyway. I behaved like a complete ass. I created my own problem and believed in it. I offended you, brought it all to a divorce. But now I realized that I was deeply mistaken, and it was simply fear speaking in me. What fear are you talking about? I don't understand. It seems to me that you argued everything very decisively. Oksana, I didn't tell you, but I was diagnosed with a rare form of genetic disease. There's no real treatment for it now. When I found out, I didn't want to torment you and decided to leave. Igor, is it true? Oksana sank heavily into a chair. But why didn't you tell me? We could have found a solution together. So it turns out you preferred to say nasty things to me but keep it all a secret. Not exactly a secret, Igor hesitated. Liza knew, but she thought you knew too, that's why she turned on you. And I was comfortable then that he feels sorry. We even established communication somehow. So, wait, what's changed now? Are you cured? Of course not. Igor chuckled. But I was offered an experimental treatment, and you need money from me. God forbid. What's wrong, Oksana? How can I ask you for anything? No, I don't need money. What then? I came for words of support. So good. I believe the treatment will help. Good luck to you. Everything. Well, why are you like this, Oksana? I know you tried to contact me for a long time, how you waited for me at the entrance, talked your friends into it, and he just tucked his tail between his legs and sat cooped up. I know you still love me. It was me who said stupid things back then. And saying I don't love you anymore wasn't true, but an attempt to distance myself. Please, it's not too late. Let's start all over again. From the beginning, Oksana said in surprise. Are you serious? You know, I'm sincerely sorry you're sick, and I'm glad there's a chance for recovery. I can help you with support, advice, even some friendly attention, thereby accepting an apology for your words. But, Igor, you're in vain hoping that I'll run to you back with open arms. Remember what you said then? Let each of us find our own happiness. I found mine. You have a man now. Igor grimaced. So that's what you are like. And I never cheated on you. And I was faithful to you, too. Oksana laughed, while wearing the ring on her fingers. Mind you, even after the divorce for some time, and then fate took pity on me and ended my suffering. And then I realized that all this time I had been living someone else's life. Yours, Liska's, anyone else's, but not mine. And even it's funny that this broken cup pointed it out to me, as if my mother had sent me a message from the other world. That's it, daughter, stop, look around and think about where you've brought yourself and why. What are you talking about? What cup? It doesn't matter, it takes too long to explain. So, Igor, I think you should leave. Are you kicking me out? No. Part of this apartment still belongs to you. I can't kick you out. I'm just asking you not to bother me. Igor, I'm sorry, but it's over. You made your choice. Be true to your word. I won't let you bully me any further. Just leave. Room. You can spend the night on the couch if you want. Igor said nothing. He walked out of the workshop, which had once been his office, and headed for the exit. He hadn't intended to spend the night here, and Oksana sighed with relief when she heard the front door slam. At that moment, her phone rang, alerting her to a new message. Oksana opened her messenger. Sorry, I couldn't resist. Here are the kittens. Oksana smiled as she looked at the funny kitten sticker that Misha liked so much. Since they met, not a day had passed without him sending his to her. The kittens hugged each other comically, and Oksana, like Misha, also began to find similarities in their faces with her own. And the smiling face of her beloved. If you liked this story, subscribe to stay up to date with new heartwarming stories, and leave a comment. I'm always interested to hear your opinion.